Hello, all. Our today's topic is viral diseases. In that, we'll see in detail hepatitis B. This is from chapter Introduction to Infectious Diseases from Core Compulsory Theory paper MB 703 for MSc Part 2. Here, we'll see viral disease hepatitis B caused by hepatitis B virus. In that, initially we'll see general characteristics of hepatitis B virus as well as disease produced by hepatitis B virus and detection methods of it. Hepatitis B was originally recognized as the agent responsible for serum hepatitis. As you know, there are various types of hepatitis caused by HAV, HBV, HCV, HDV, etc. First two, HAV and HBV, are important in various liver diseases. HAV is infectious hepatitis, while the infection caused by hepatitis B is called as a serum hepatitis. It is most common form of parenterally transmitted viral hepatitis and important cause of acute and chronic infection of the liver which leads to liver cirrhosis. The incubation period of hepatitis B is variable which range within 1 to 6 months period. A severe illness with jaundice can occur and occasionally acute liver failure may develop. There are three morphological forms of hepatitis B virus. The small pleomorphic spherical particles, as you see in this figure, these are spherical particles. These are also called as a Dane particles. These are 20 to 22 nm in diameter, while second form which may appear during infection in the blood is a tubular form. In this figure you can see this tubular form of a Dane particles, and here diameter of which is same as spherical particles, that is 20 to 22 nm. Third one and most serious form of infection occur because of the 42 nm double shared virus. So here in this figure you can see this 42 nm double shared viruses of HBV, and these are infectious one, means these are complete virion which when transmitted from one person to other leads to hepatitis B. Now see structure of the virus. Here we have to consider complete virion, and the hepatitis B virion is 42 nm particle comprising an electron dense core nucleocapsid. So this one is that nucleocapsid which is 27 nm in diameter. This is surrounded by an outer envelope of surface protein, that is HBS antigen. HBS surface antigen. To this, another name given is Australia antigen. It is embedded in membranous lipid derived from the host cells. Host cells, that is hepatocytes of that liver, from that they derived lipid. Then the most important second antigen is HBC antigen. This is also called as a core antigen, a location of which is here. And at the after this we'll see HBE antigen, where it is exactly located in between HBS, that is surface antigen, and core antigen. HBE antigen, detection of which is very important during laboratory diagnosis of hepatitis B. Third one is DNA polymerases. Okay, this one also detected during laboratory diagnosis of these viruses in the detection methods. So this is all about structure of the virus. So the surface antigen, which is produced in excess by infected hepatocytes and is secreted in the form of a 22 nm particles, and tubular structure are of the same diameter, while to the surface antigen, another name is Australia antigen. Viral hepatitis is necroinflammatory liver disease. That is, there is inflammation and necrosis of hepatocytes, and it is having variable severity, that is, in the milder form or in the acute and chronic form. Persistent infection by HBV is often associated with chronic liver disease that can lead to development of cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma, that is cancer of a liver. How this disease transmitted? Various ways are there, but most important one is exposure to infectious blood or body fluids, infection around the time of birth or from contact with other people's blood during childhood is most frequent method by which hepatitis B is acquired in areas where the disease is common. So you can call it as a congenital type of infection. That is, during birth there is a infection to the fetus. In areas where the disease is rare, that is, majority of the time it is called as an endemic type of a condition, intravenous drug users, they acquire this infection. And second one, that is, as it is sexually transmitted disease, it is again most frequent route of infection. Number of other risk factors are there. You can call it as a predisposing conditions to this disease, that is working in healthcare. Here, hospital staff, uh, physicians, surgeons, nurses, as well as in case of dental practitioners, there are chances of acquirance of this infection. Secondly, blood transfusion. These viruses can survive for a longer period in trace amount of a blood and blood product. Chances of a infection in the recipients when blood transfusions occur. Third possibility is of a dialysis. As you know, the instrumentation which is used for a dialysis is repeatedly used in the hospitals, and here possibility of transmission of these virus particles from one person, that is from patient to other, may occur in the dialysis chamber. Living with an infected person, traveling in countries where the infection rate is high, also one of condition require for acquirance of this infection. Tattooing and acupuncture also play important role, as traces of blood and blood products may present on the needles used for a tattooing. Nowadays, because of a sterilization practices, rate is slightly decreased because of infection transmission by tattooing and acupuncture. Acute infection with hepatitis B virus is associated with acute viral hepatitis, an illness which begins with general ill health. There is a loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, body ache, mild fever, as well as typical symptoms of a jaundice can be observed in the patient, including dark urine. The illness lasts for a few weeks and then gradually improves in most affected people. A few people may have a more severe form of a liver disease known as a fulminant hepatic failure and may die as a result. The infection may be entirely asymptomatic and may go unrecognized in some patients. It may take 30 to 180 days for symptoms to begin. In those who get infected around the time of birth, 90% develop chronic hepatitis B. Most of those with chronic disease have no symptoms. However, cirrhosis and liver cancer may eventually develop in some cases. Cirrhosis or liver cancer occur in about 25% of those with chronic disease. Now we'll see in detail detection methods of hepatitis B. A laboratory diagnosis of hepatitis B infection is dependent upon detection of hepatitis B surface antigen in serum, that is, presence of HBs antigen. The distinction between acute and chronic infection relies on detection of other serological markers. We'll see in detail about the serological markers in the next part. These assays have a role in therapeutic monitoring and the detection of HBV mutants. Mainly in Australia-like country, the requirement is of a therapeutic monitoring as it is a sort of a epidemic in that area. Serum-based assays can detect and quantify the viral DNA. Here, hepatitis B virus DNA levels in serum are useful in determining the status of chronic HBV infection by differentiating between active and inactive disease state. Patients with chronic active HBV are at greater risk for more serious liver disease and are more infectious than patients with inactive HBV infection. The HBe antigen, as you know, there are variety of antigens present in the patient's blood: HBC, HBe, HBs antigen. Here, the HBe antigen and HBV DNA can also be detected in blood while the virus is actively replicating in the liver in the initial stages of the disease. HBs antigen first appears in the blood during incubation period of the disease. While the virus is actively replicating in liver cells, one can see presence of this surface antigen in patient's blood. The antigen is produced in vast excess so that it is not only associated with new infectious virus particles but also occurs in the serum as well as non-infectious spherical and a filamentous form. So if the tubular form or a filamentous form or a spherical DIN particles present in the patient's blood, it also indicates that patient is suffering from hepatitis B. In acute infection, the HBs antigen usually disappears within 3 months of onset. This is because of increase in the level of antibodies, which are neutralizing antibodies in the patient's blood. Symptoms usually appear as the concentration of a bilirubin, then ALT, that is alanine aminotransferase, peak in the serum. Antibody to HBC, that is anti-HBC, that also rises first. As a generalization, the detection of IgM antibody specific to hepatitis B core is the primary indicator of acute infection. It usually appears at or just before the onset of a symptoms and remain detectable for at least 6 months. Therefore, role of this antibody to HBC antigen is considered important in the detection of hepatitis B. The IgC component of anti-HBC usually persists for life. Here, this IgG antibodies are nothing but immunoglobulins which are raised against HBC antigen, and here they are important in maintaining immunity of a person. Anti-HBe is the second antibody to appear and is associated with rapid clearance of HBe antigen. Therefore, they are maintained up to 3 to 4 months in the blood of a patient. Later, anti-HBe declines and persists for only a few months or years if there is no active viral replication. The antibody to HBs antigen, that is anti-HBs, may not become detectable for 3 to 6 months after acute infection. This is nothing but a resolution of the illness because of a increase in the antibody titer in the patient's blood. This antibody is recognized as the marker of immunity to HBV. So these are primary markers for the diagnosis of acute hepatitis B infection. here HBV antigen, in that HBs antigen and HBe antigen included. In the anti-HBV antibodies, anti-HBC, anti-HBe and anti-HBs, that is surface antigen, they included. In the anti-HBC category, either IgM antibodies or total immunoglobulin we have to consider. So here we can see during acute hepatitis B virus infection, these antigen, HBs antigen and HBe antigen, they are present in the patient's blood. At the same time, DNA of hepatitis B virus can be detected in the patient's blood. Antibodies in the later stages observed in the patient's blood, but not immediately presence of HBe and anti-HBs. In resolving early stages, conditions are like this. That is, you can see except HBs antigen, as antibodies are developed against it, neutralization of this antigen occur, and so remaining HBe antigen present, viral DNA present, antibodies against core antigen, antibodies against E antigen, surface antigen, all are present in the early stages, which is convalescent phase or resolving phase of the disease. While in late resolving state, you can see as antibodies develop against all these three main antigens, you can see they are not detected in the patient's blood. After vaccination also one can check what is condition of a primary markers. So here only presence of a anti-HBs in the patient's blood upon vaccination of a hepatitis B vaccine. While after infection, that is past infection, total immunoglobulins level is quite high, as well as against surface antigen, antibodies are present in the patient's blood. Now I'll see in detail chronic hepatitis B infection. Between 1 and 10% of infected adults and older children develop chronic infection. More than 85 to 95% of newborns and children infected under the age of 3 years born to HBe antigen positive mothers become chronic carriers. This is thought to occur because of the immunological immaturity in the child and the effect of maternal HBe antigen in the uterus. Those carriers infected in early life have an increased risk of both chronic persistent and chronic active hepatitis. From a laboratory perspective, chronic infection is defined as the persistence of HBs antigen, that is surface antigen, in the patient's blood for a period of 6 months or more. The serological picture depends on the degree of viral activity in chronically infected hepatocytes. So here one can check total blood count, including platelets, then presence of various enzymes, in that alanine transferase enzyme is included, total bilirubin is included, alkaline phosphatase, as well as albumin level increases during the infection. Primary markers for diagnosis of chronic hepatitis B infections are, as you know, HBV antigen, HBV DNA, and anti-HBV antibodies. So here only difference in first and second table is in case of a chronic hepatitis B, conditions are slightly different. That is level of HBV DNA antigen, that is more in the patient's blood, as well as a presence of a total immunoglobulin in the patient's blood. HBe antigen negative chronic hepatitis B, they also show similar type of a condition except presence of a HBe antigen as well as antibodies against it. HBe antigen negative chronic hepatitis B. Unfortunately, there are exceptions to these principles. Some people, especially those who acquire HBV in very early life, never fully clear HBV from the blood. Due to the pressure of the host immune system, mutant forms of HBV can be selected from the pool of infected liver cells, that is hepatocytes. HBV DNA production may continue despite the absence of a HBe antigen and the presence of anti-HBe in up to 30% cases infected early in life. So here various tests which are used for detection of hepatitis B viruses. In that, most commonly used tests are enzyme immunoassays, that is EIA. These are for detection of viral proteins as well as antibodies. One reference is included here, that is Journal of Clinical Pathology. In that, solid phase enzyme immunoassay for detection of hepatitis surface antigens, they are included. So go through paper in this Journal of Clinical Pathology. Then second reference for hepatitis B virus DNA, which can be quantified by molecular hybridization assay, and here you can refer Journal of Hepatology, where the research paper is on molecular hybridization correlation with HBe antigen and anti-HBV status. This is for various RSS, and you can refer this paper. Third and important test is polymerase chain reaction, PCR. This can detect minute quantities of HBV DNA in serum. We'll see in brief about this PCR. Here we have to first collect a specimen. The specimen of choice for diagnosis of HBV infection is blood. Various serological tests for viral antigens and antibodies are typically used for diagnostic screening and can be performed on either serum or plasma. That is, you can collect serum or a plasma after collection of a blood. Both HBV antigens and antibody are stable at room temperature for days. This is for up to 4 degrees Celsius for months, and if frozen condition, that is -20 to -70 degrees Celsius, for many years they are in the stable state. As modern testing involves automated enzyme immunoassays, there is need of good quality of a blood samples, that is not hemolyzed one, as there are colorimetric or chemiluminescence signal measurement techniques. Care should be taken to avoid hemolysis of the samples because it may interfere with the ability of the assay to accurately detect these markers. So here sample collection is important, as well as the sample storage and transportation play important role in proper diagnosis of hepatitis B. A number of nucleic acid based tests are available to directly detect HBV DNA in serum or plasma. Care must be taken to avoid degradation of a viral nucleic acid in the specimen, which can result in false positive or falsely low or a no measurable viral load. Serum should therefore be removed from clotted blood within 4 hours of collection and stored at -20 degrees Celsius to -70 degrees Celsius, and can be subjected to up to 8 short-term freeze-thaw cycles without significant loss of detectable hepatitis B virus DNA. Alternatively, the presence of EDTA in plasma is known to stabilize viral nucleic acid. So here EDTA bulb is used for collection. This EDTA blood can be stored for up to 5 days at 4 degrees Celsius without affecting the viral load. Polymerase chain reaction based test can use either serum or a plasma, while hybridization based assays recommend use of serum. Now here primary diagnostic tests which are used, in that the markers surface antigen as well as antibodies against it, then against core antigen antibodies, in that total antibodies and IgM antibodies, and lastly the DNA. Here, based on this table, you can see based on incubation period, presence of a surface antigen in the patient's blood. So either they present in early stages or may absent depending upon a viral load. During acute infection, they are definitely present, but as antibodies developed in past or a resolved infection, they absent. In case of a chronic infection, up to 6 months, they are present in the patient's blood. And in case of a vaccination, again, depending upon the presence of a condition of a patient's their status, immunological status, you can see presence of a HBs antigen in the immediate or early stages of a vaccination. So based on this chart, condition for anti-HBs, that is antibodies against surface antigen, then against core antigen, they are like this. Here, based on type of a method or a measurement method, you can see change in the presence of a diagnostic test for the HBV DNA. So this one marked for the measurement test. Here, methods differ in sensitivity and standardization anti-HBC antibodies to hepatitis for this symbol. Here, prognostic or monitoring tests are also there, and here for HBe antigen, this test show this type of results based on the first table, that is what type of test used, as well as whether it is the late stage or early stage of a disease. Now I'll see about PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction. It is a method widely used to rapidly make millions to billions of copies of a specific DNA sample, allowing to take a very small DNA and amplify it to large enough amount to study in detail. This is nowadays widely used for coronaviruses also, but it is RT-PCR, while this one is a real PCR technique. PCR amplifies a specific region of a DNA strand, the DNA target. Most PCR method amplify DNA fragments of between 0.1 to 10 kilobase pairs kbp in length, although some techniques allow amplification of a fragments up to 40 kbp. The amount of amplified product is determined by the available substrates in the reaction, which becomes limiting as the reaction progresses. A basic PCR setup requires several components and reagents. The detection and quantification of hepatitis B virus DNA play an important role in diagnosing HBV infection. And here, as you know, PCR is used. Primers are used. They must be specific to the targeted sequence in the DNA of a virus. And PCR can be used for a diagnostic analysis or a DNA sequencing of the viral genome. The high sensitivity of a PCR permits virus detection soon after infection and even before the onset of a disease. So it is widely used technique for the laboratory diagnosis of a hepatitis B. The amount of a viral load in the patient can also be quantified by PCR-based DNA quantitation technique. Among the methods most commonly used for HBV DNA quantification, including hybrid capture and branch DNA signal amplification. These assays based on real-time PCR technology. There are three main steps of PCR. First one is a denaturation, where two strands of DNA separates, that is made down to form single-stranded DNA, and this step is generally carried out at 92 degrees Celsius to 96 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes. Second step is of annealing. Annealing of a primer to each strand is carried out at 45 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. And lastly, the third step, that is of extension, where DNA polymerase adds D and TPs complementary to templates strands at 3' end of a primer. It is carried out at a temperature of 72 degrees Celsius. These three steps are repeated 20 to 30 times in an automated thermocycler that can heat and cool the reaction mixture in tube within very short time. This results in exponential accumulation of a specific DNA fragments. The doubling of a number of a DNA strands corresponding to target sequences can be estimated by amplification number associated with each cycle using the following formula. Amplification is equal to 2n, where n is number of a PCR cycle. PCR can amplify a desired DNA sequences of a new region. 100 or million times in a matter of an hour, it can amplify it, which is very short in comparison to the recombinant DNA technology. PCR is especially valuable because the reaction is highly specific, easily automated, and very sensitive. One can use serum transaminases for the detection of a hepatitis B. Once an individual has been diagnosed with chronic HBV infection, follow-up testing must be performed for alanine aminotransferase, that is AAT, which is a marker of liver cell inflammation. Repeat periodic testing is indicated because the ALT levels can fluctuate. Sustained and intermittent elevations in alanine aminotransferase beyond the upper limit of a normal are indicative of a hepatic inflammation and correlate with an increased risk of progressive liver disease. So in the summary, hepatitis B viruses affect liver. It is type of a viral hepatitis. It can cause both acute and chronic infection. Many people have no symptoms during initial infection, but in acute infection, some may develop a rapid onset of sickness with abdominal pain. Often these symptoms last few weeks and rarely does the initial infection results in death. In case of a detection method, we have to find out viral load in the patient's blood as well as various antibodies present in the patient's blood. Here, viral load can be quantified by PCR-based DNA quantitation techniques. So this is all about hepatitis B virus, disease produced by it, as well as various detection methods of hepatitis B. This is reference for hepatitis B PCR techniques for detection method, and that's all. Thank you. Thank you very much.